Welcome to the Saturday Night Live Afterparty. This week we'll be discussing Season 47, Episode 11 of SNL with host Will Forte and musical guest Måneskin. I'm Catherine Coleman, and this week we have a stacked cast. I'm joined by Steve Finn, Charlotte O'Trimba, and Canadian stand-up comedian Ryan Dillon. If you'd like to connect with Ryan, you can do so at The Ryan Dillon. And if you'd like to connect with us, you can do so at snlpodcast.com. All right, here we go. Hello, everybody. We have a big episode to cover a big episode. Everyone I talked to in the SNL Afterparty cinematic universe was so excited about Will Forte. They were all begging me to be on. And I'm a person incapable of saying no. I'm a pushover. So we have 4 people here. And 2 of them you know, 1 of them you don't. So let's welcome the 2 that are old news. Charlotte, Steve, great to have you.
Hello.
Woo! Thanks.
Welcome back, Charlotte.
Great heckin' intro.
Appreciate it. I did sort of elbow my way in to today's episode. So.
Look, it's okay. It's an exciting episode.
We're glad you elbowed.
Is here. I'm genuinely glad you're both here. I think this is going to be a good time. Charlotte, congratulations. You got engaged since you were last on the show.
Indeed.
She's
growing up. Look at her. It's me.
Look at her go.
Look at her go.
And now, of course, we don't want to leave our guest out too long. So we do have a 4th person here.
Yes, don't worry.
But Steve, this is your friend. You came to me. You said, I got this guy. He'd be great on the show.
That's right.
Can we make it happen? And I said, of course. So Steve, take it away. Introduce our friend.
This fella, Ryan, he's the guy that I was talking about. So nobody worry. He's here with me. Ryan is great.
I love when Steve talks about me. This is the best. This guy, he's great.
I got a guy.
Ryan. I've been aware of Ryan for so long. I've been such a fan of his comedy. He's done some amazing things. I've recently had him on Weekend AM for a segment on CBC. And yeah, the guy is just so fascinating. We go into the booth to record what's meant to be a 5 to 7 minute piece for the radio. And we end up talking for like 25 minutes.
I love talking to you. It's always it was a really good time. That was a great interview. I don't even know what we were promoting, but I was just like, Steve's the best.
We were just promoting our lovely friendship and chemistry, and I'll do that all day.
CBC Newfoundland radio. Tonight we're going to talk about Ryan and Steve's friendship, and let me tell you, it's evolved.
That's the story of the day. Yeah, man. But Ryan, I've been wanting to have you on for a long ass time, and
yeah, we talked about it before. Because like we were talking about, I don't know if it was it wasn't the most recent interview, but another time we talked about comedy. We were talking about SNL, and you were like, "Yeah, I do this SNL podcast," and I was like, "Hell yeah!" And I got the message from Steve the other day, and I don't mean to brag, but I don't have a lot going on right now, as a lot of people don't. So I was like, "Yeah, I'm free on Sunday. Let's do this."
So yeah, so everybody knows. Let's get to know you SNL wise. What would you say is like a favorite sketch of yours in the history of SNL that you can think of?
Ah, man, like I don't really have necessarily like a favorite sketch. I kind of got like favorite like recurring hosts. Like there's certain hosts that I just really like that when they bring their energy. And I even was talking to Catherine for a second about it. Just generally, I'm always excited when an original cast member comes back to host, like as opposed to someone because they don't have anything to promote, especially when they don't have anything to promote. Like I know he's got MacGruber, which is great, but like I just love when like they just bring in someone like that has been on the show for years, so the chemistry is there already, and they just know the flow of the show and they know what like Lauren wants and what the audience expects, and it just gives them free reign to do what they want. Like we talked a bit about like how John Mulaney was able to do his lobster sketch because he pitched it and it didn't get passed, and then he was able to do it, and I'm like so blessed that we got to see that crazy friggin' thing, and it's because he finally got the chance to like take the reins. So it's really exciting. Yep. To me, I don't necessarily have a favorite sketch, but it's just when my favorite thing ever is when an original cast member gets to host, and that's always a good time. I love that.
All right. So what do you guys think? We're going to keep him on?
I think he can stay. Yeah.
Yes.
You passed the test.
That's the test.
Steve sent me your name, and I like looked at your Instagram and saw like just for laughs, Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Network. And I was like, okay, he's qualified. He's a legit comedian. So I'm really excited to see like what you have to say. We don't always have a lot of like stand-ups on the podcast, so it's exciting to see sort of that perspective and how you're gonna see these sketches. So let's get into it. For the cold open, the Ingram Angle would like to thank sponsors such as COVID Negs and Paula Deen's Chickpea Mash. Charlotte, how'd you feel about the cold open?
Thank you for teeing it up to me. As you know, I usually do not like the political cold opens, but I have to say I did like Laura Ingram this take, and honestly, thanks to your intro, that reminded me, like, this was actually one of my notes, that the sponsors were probably some of the best parts of this sketch just because they're so wild and funny. I just think there were some great lines in this, like commercials where families are all the same things, the sponsors, COVID Negs. I think the Donald Trump bits are getting better every time. I do love how they've just evolved this into a recurring thing where like the Trump character comes on and does basic word association, and I think the makeup team also, can we shout out the makeup team? I feel like the makeup gets better every time, like with the neck parts
they're like
and
still
the wrinkles.
Evolving it. And
I think it just went on a little long. That would be my only, it just kind of went on for a while. That's all. I just wish they would make the opening shorter so we can.
Yeah, I think this one collected like 9 minutes.
It was just so long. So anyway, that's all. Otherwise funny.
Yeah. The critical feedback that we provide almost every week is that the cold open is too long. Ryan, was this a win for you?
It's one of those things like the Saturday Night Live classic cold open and the political cold open. Like there's just like certain beats you're gonna hear. You're gonna hear the play on words, and like they're gonna attack. They're gonna do the right attacking the left and finding the truth about making fun of both when they can. I want to give a shout out to, was it one of the younger guys doing the Trump impression? I didn't quite catch who it was. It was
that's
one of the new
James
feature
Austin
players.
Johnson.
I appreciate that it was an actual impression, because like I was so like done with the stunt casting, because I find it really annoying when SNL does, like, they especially did a lot during the Trump administration, this stunt casting to bring in viewers, like having like Alec Baldwin as Trump, and they had like Jim Carrey as Joe Biden for a little bit, and then they brought in Maya Rudolph, and it's like, just I like when the cast that's currently playing get to showcase their skills, and you get to like, as an audience, grow with that cast member, because it's so funny, like when people go like, who are your favorite cast members, and everyone has their era that they watched when they were in like high school, university. That's kind of when you start watching it, and like those are the people that you attach as your first introduction to it. And it's like, and now it's like, people are going to be starting off with like all the stunt cast. It's like, who's your favorite cast member? They're going to be like, Joe. They're going to be like Jim Carrey. I'm like, he's not even like, that's not
Alec Baldwin.
So I appreciate and his Alec Baldwin. So his Trump impression was like an impression. Like he had the inflection in the voice. Like I thought it was so much more entertaining to watch, because as opposed to like, because Alec Baldwin wasn't really doing an impression. He was doing like this grand caricature that was just like funny for the sake of the voice and like the facial expressions, and like, but like you can actually tell this guy like watched the tapes, was trying to get the mannerisms down, and it just felt made the comedy more authentic to me, because like it's like the best joke to me. Jokes work better when like everything is played straight. Like he played Trump, he was being Trump in those moments, as opposed to being a joke of Trump. He's like, this is how Trump would say and do this, and that's what made it so funny for me. And the makeup also, I will say, was like, I was like, whoa, this looks way better than whatever they did with Baldwin or whoever else they had in the past. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I really appreciated that the impressions were getting better. And like the Candace Owens stuff was great. Again, it's like the standard, political cold open. I kind of would have liked to see Will Forte in it at the beginning, but I guess he's prepping for the monologue or whatever. But status quo, but it was fun.
Yeah. James Austin Johnson's impression is truly unmatched. He's insanely good.
Awesome.
At that.
He's so good.
Yeah, that was great.
Steve, you got anything to add on this?
Well, Fox is one of my favorite things for SNL to poke fun
at. Just to watch in your downtime?
Yeah, just to watch. Just to watch, in my lazy boy with my corncob cigar. Just shaking my fists at the heavens. That's me, but I just love Fox as a subject because I think they do a great job. Ever since Fox and Friends with Taryn and Bobby and Vanessa, I've always just loved how they just had to move the goalpost ever so slightly just to make a comedic version of what you actually see going on in that channel. And they're definitely using the same ingredients as they normally do. Instead of Janine Pirro, we now have Ingram in the role. But as familiar as some of these ingredients are for this particular bowl of soup, at least they used fresh quality ingredients. We were talking about how on point some of these sponsors were, Bible Belt being a great one. Made all that much better with the graphic design. There's some really great graphic design done to enhance some of the jokes all throughout the night. And that's a great example of it. Of course, it's gone long. That's just what happens when we let James Austin Johnson do his kind of word salad impression of Trump. But I like the new motif of changing the format of the words. It's pretty much the same, but I think it was a crossword last time. Now we're doing Wordle, which is very on point. That game is on fire right now. So
I love that they had Wordle on that show, and I watched Wordle happen, and I still don't know what Wordle is. And I refuse to learn. I reject this. My fiance looked at me and she was like, "Do you know what Wordle is?" And I just went, "I'm skipping this one. I am skipping it."
Pass.
You just post green squares online. It's great.
I reject everything you just said. I don't participate. I politely say no.
I do the Wordle every day promptly at midnight.
The word.
Yes.
I don't know what that means, and I don't care for it.
I'm there waiting for the countdown.
Laura Ingraham thanking ridiculous sponsors will never lose for me. I always loved that gag. I think they started doing that initially when she was an update feature. And I quote, there was one she did that was like, your pillow. It's from my pillow. We're all out of pillows. Please send us your pillow. And I think that was my favorite one. But the biggest win for me in this cold open was the Candace Owens impression. That lady's crazy. And this was just such a strong, just straight, pure satire of just the things she says. I thought Ego did a really good job with it. And so I was just really excited to see like SNL take on, Candace Owens as a character.
I would agree. It seems like they haven't taken her on yet, but I don't know. I feel like Ego could have gone stronger. I feel like she kind of...
You think so?
I feel like she could have gone a little more off the rails.
I don't know. That opening line, that closing line were some of the
true.
best.
I don't know.
Jokes
Maybe. Just me. Because that's so funny you said that, because that was one of the parts where I was like, I feel like she could have been a little crazier.
Interesting. Well, there's always time for the character to evolve. This is the
I
first
want her
time
to
we've
come
seen
back.
her, I'm fairly certain. So.
I love Ego, so I mean, yeah.
Yeah, Ego's awesome.
She's phenomenal. I was happy with Candace Owens, but I see your point. I definitely want her back, so we'll see how that impression grows. Let's get in to the monologue. Will Forte finally delivers his very, very own SNL monologue, with, of course, cameos from Kristen Wiig and Willem Dafoe. Ryan, how'd you enjoy the monologue?
I freaking loved it. I love this monologue. So it's also wild to think that he never hosted before. There's every now and then people and I think, and like Will's strength is his self-deprecating humor when like he just like owns being like he's like, the bed end of the joke, like he's the target. So like having Kristen Wiig appear behind him and like doing like even just a line like, "Oh, so you know where the airport is?" Like it's just like he just knows and I think that's what Will's greatest strength is, that he commits to the joke so well, and like and doesn't matter about what he looks like in it, and that's like the greatest strength in comedy, is just letting your ego go in that way. And like having Kristen Wiig be behind him and like owning it, because like they're in the writers' room pitching that, and he's like, "Yes, that's great." And having Willem Dafoe and like the Will mix up, like, and him mentioning all the other people who've hosted so many more times that was on during his year except him, and like, and even the MacGruber line was so great because it totally caught me. But I actually fell for it when he was like, "I would like to announce that we got a second season." I was like, "Yes," and he's like, "I would like to announce that. I don't know," and I was like, and it was just like. pure distilled Will Forte, and I find, and again, that kind of goes back to I find monologues when it's especially some people just can't, because a lot of monologue it comes from also maybe that's why anytime a stand-up host, I'm very excited for their monologue. Anytime a dramatic actor who has funny chops, I'm no, I don't care for their monologue is going to be just them reading the teleprompt jokes and understanding where the beats are and just moving on. And they'll always, and you can always tell the weakest monologues have a song because they're just this person does, we just need to make a song happen because it'll get the big applause break. But Will can just own it and just knows it. And it just I thought it was fantastic. And Willem Dafoe, you think I booked 2 Wills in a row? just just so good. I thought that was fun.
Yeah. Steve, was it a win for you too?
Yeah, absolutely. And Ryan touched on how this was so on brand for Will, and Ryan couldn't be any more correct. This is where I like to see Will using anger as a kind of the underdog of comedic emotions. When you think of how difficult it is to pull off legit funny, just freaking out and losing it in rage, because that could easily be something you just want to kind of not look at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Will Forte does it. He either does it explosively or he could do it slightly bubbling over, which is more like he's doing here. And it's brilliant to see because
he brings that anger right up to surface level, and you can just see the cracks, and that's what makes it so fun because he's downplaying. There's actual playing the game of his anger, as opposed to like you said, can be sometimes you can just turn to shouting matches or just screaming and shouting, which is funny in its own way, but this is just more subdued, and I think that's what's so funny about it.
Absolutely.
All right, well, Charlotte, how'd you feel about the monologue?
I think we've covered everything. I mean, I feel good about what everybody else has said. I was so freaking happy he was here.
That's my favorite. They covered it.
I feel great about what was said. Yeah,
that's fair. I loved this. I like that they not only did they play the angle of him being the last one to host, but they doubled and tripled down on it. That would have been really easy to be a passing joke in the monologue, but I'm glad that they made a meal of it being the whole thing. I was just really happy to see that. But yeah, super fun stuff. I think we've said all there is to say. Let's talk about some sketches.
Oh yeah.
But first, only MacGruber can see through the lies of this pandemic, with cameos from, again, Kristen Wiig and Ryan Philippe. Now, Charlotte, your plea to be on the episode included how much of a MacGruber stan you are. So was this alt-right edition welcome?
I don't know. It was sad, but also hilarious. Okay, so I just want to preface, I texted Catherine this because I love the MacGruber sketches, and whenever I'm having a bad day or feeling sad, they're just one of those sketches that I can go to that are so goofy that I know I'll feel better. And my favorite ones are with Charles Barkley and when MacGruber's going through racism training.
Oh, Daryl, yes.
Yeah, so literally to this day, my now fiance will just, if I'm having a bad day, play the sketches for me and know that I'll feel better. Or if he just says Mo Betta, it's I know, we both know that we're talking about the MacGruber sketch, and then we put it on. So I was so happy to see, obviously, that this is going to happen. And then when I saw Kristen Wiig, I thought, oh my God, they're doing the OG MacGruber. Okay, so first of all, what I loved was that they stuck to the regular setup and delivery. And then I do think, even though I was sort of sad, it did make sense for MacGruber to go to the alt-right thing. I mean, It really did make
too
sense.
Much sense.
It did. It made sense. And honestly, it was funny. And then in true MacGruber fashion, I still loved him. It's he just sort of got a little detour, and it was hilarious and smart. Bless his heart. I will say what brought me out was a little bit of Ryan Philippe. Did anybody else feel this way? I mean,
yeah,
he was so low energy.
Because I was like, congrats to them two for reprising the characters and Ryan for being there.
Just standing. I was like, dude, I don't even.
And I get in the show,
I know
in the movie, I get him playing the straight man to everything. He's very he's a very reactive character. What is, he's that, he's the audience reaction to the absurdness. But because like Kristen Wiig is also doing that, but also still playing a character, right? Like it just seemed very like it just kind of felt like a weird.
I think for
mix
something as
into the
short
whole
as the
thing.
sketches, like it just felt like there wasn't a need for him.
Right.
You know, he didn't add.
I agree, but I think it's
anything.
because it's also Peacock and they want
I
to
know.
promote like the MacGruber series. They got like the whole cast there,
I
and
know.
like it's like all in brand stuff.
I know
but,
why he's
yeah,
there. I'm just saying. I did not appreciate him
why?
there.
I understand everything that's happening, and I don't care for it.
Yeah. Altogether, I thought this went the full length. I love that they heightened all the way to the shaman guy from the January 6th riots. That was the way to go. This is the way to do MacGruber. I also think they could have even gone a step further with more unsavory jokes, but I'm sure they couldn't. And I also think it was hilarious just shoving the medication in his mouth and just naming all of the different conspiracies, because in a way they didn't even need to go more extreme because all of the conspiracy theories are so extreme in himself. So in a way that was like the brilliance of the comedy, is that he just was naming exactly what QAnon believers believe. So props. Honestly, I thought this was a really smart take on MacGruber, and I enjoyed it and laughed, even if I was slightly sad that MacGruber went to the Q side. So anyway, thank you for giving me this moment to talk about MacGruber.
You're welcome. You can
This was
leave
amazing.
now.
Like I'm out. I didn't watch the rest, so
This is a very ruthless podcast.
Ryan, were you happy to see MacGruber?
I'm always happy to see MacGruber. MacGruber's like just like it's a kind of comedy we don't even see as much anymore. Like there was this era of SNL where there was just like everyone had like their character brought out into like a big franchise or like a character type. Like remember like Austin Powers and like I think Will Ferrell, like he had like everything that was the name of the character and the name of the movie. So like it's just so absurd and just so fun to watch. And just the way he just slips back into character after like he's been doing this character for so long, like with the shows, the movie, and the way he comes back and like it's weird. It's just like it's somehow like something with him physically, his face, like him getting older but still playing it still works so well. If anything, it gets better.
yeah.
I also had the weird, Charlotte, I'm with you there that it felt so weird seeing a character you like be like the alt-right, like, conspiracy. But like, I think it continues a weird tradition of like these 80s stars that like were like had shows like that were like, and now they're like alt-right, like friggin' super right, like anti-vax, like
Yeah.
remember there's like a list that's like I saw a list recently that was like all these people who had these 80 shows and they're all like super like Trump supporters stuff. So like I found that kind of like it still fit in the world of making fun of these 80s tropes of just like them becoming those people. It just sucks because we just actually love MacGruber.
Yeah.
And it's like and I did find it a little jarring, but it worked because it's like he's still a big dum dum. And I think what made it work so well was when they would cut back and the voiceover would be like, he went down a hole on the internet. And it's just him like looking at it and he comes back. And the heightening was really good because I thought the first beat was like okay. Like it was like, okay, we got MacGruber back. The jokes are okay. Like it was pretty funny. But then the heightening got better and better, especially at the end when he was, like you said, the like the full getup of the guy at the insurrection, like the makeup and stuff like that. And like when he's like, give me all America's like hopes and dreams or whatever, and like there's nothing there. It's like, and then that's what I thought. like and the
Ryan,
fact
you
that
have
they had
like a pretty
callbacks to the
good
worms.
little Will Forte impression going, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Just need the arms and it's
but like I just like they even had callbacks to the worms in the third one. Like I just felt like they were just having the most, and just being in that writer's room would have been so fun because like it's him coming back to do a character he loves, and like they all know that character so well. So some of the lines, like I always think MacGruber's best when he's doing the little soft throwaway lines when he's like putting it down really low, and he's just like like those like because it just he's the naive idiot who thinks he's smart, which is what's always really fun. And it's done really. And Kristen Wiig just bringing it home too was just perfect.
And Ryan Phillippe just standing there. Who said that?
Steve, anything else to note on MacGruber?
The thing about MacGruber is that, of course he became an anti-vaxxer. Of course. Like he is, the whole joke is that he does not respond appropriately to danger. So, what is that exactly? That's an anti-vaxxer right there. I basically just described it. So he didn't stand a chance. Now, Charlotte, I think I know what's going on with Ryan Felipe and why he just looks like he's standing there. Uh, he's playing the role that's usually meant for the host. I mean, this is a sketch that came from when Will Forte was a cast member. So now he's taking up the host duty that usually was somebody else to fill in this kind of easy to fill role. And that's why we saw
Charles Barkley.
the Charles Barkley type of hosts take this role because it's just something to give them screen time in. But when you are trying to like retrofit this new canon, this new expanded MacGruber into its old format, it just it doesn't work very well. It definitely doesn't do much service to Ryan Felipe. At least give him give him another Angelo type cameo later on in the night. Just to merit his showing up to film some stuff for SNL. That would have been nice to see, but yeah.
The thing that I mean, like you all said, of course he's anti-vax. This all makes sense. It heightened really well. The thing that I love the most about MacGruber, I think, is that it's basically a runner on SNL. There's always 3 iterations of it. What else is there on SNL that does that? Like they don't do a lot of stuff like that you see in more like traditional like sketch shows that like like a live like black box theater. There's a lot of interstitials and runners. And so I kind of wish they would do stuff like this more. And I understand there's a million and one confines to just how the show is put on and the production of it that makes it really difficult to do those things. But I think it's so fun and refreshing to see it with something like MacGruber, and maybe it could be a reminder for like some of the writers that are here now to be like, oh yeah, we can maybe try a new thing that's like this. I think that could be really fun to see. But yeah, let's keep going. Welcome to Kids Clash, a game show where children humiliate themselves for terrible prizes. Ryan, did you enjoy this one?
I love this sketch. I thought it was really strong, and it shows Will Forte just like when Will Forte just is like these brash, meaner type characters, and like keeping it together, and like, but not being like you said, like angry. Like, there's like a subtle anger to like the ridiculousness of this, like the cream that she was in, like looking for the flag, and just being like when she finds the medallion, like, oh, what's that about the medallion? Good old nose, not a flag. I just. Like the game was just so well done, and I thought the set looked great. I thought like the weakest part to me was just like the threes, like the family being like the shellfish off to the side. That just felt like those were just gags to break up the monotony of the same beat over and over, which like I respect, but it just felt like it was just kind of like a second thought. Like I feel like could have been like the adopted line. It's like that's a beat I've seen before and things, and it just like would have been more interesting with more of a twist, or have him be mean to the family as well. I don't know, but what? Oh my god, I'm forgetting her name. My god, she was in the cream.
Aidy Bryant.
Aidy Bryant. She's so good at playing those like people getting slowly defeated by the things around them. Like she's so good at that. So I thought her and Will paired together was just like mwah. Like I thought that was absolutely perfect, and they elevated it so well. And just how cruel this host of a show was. It was just so fun to watch, and it's just like it's funny because it's so funny because when you see Will Forte, like especially in his opening monologue, he's always very self-deprecating character. Like he's the butt of the joke. So like he's always a lower status character. Like I would argue MacGruber thinks he's high status, but he's always low status because he's making mistakes. And even in the opening monologue, like everyone else got hosting, Kristen overshadows him. Like so, seeing him in a higher status sketch is just so it's like different for me, and I just find it so strong because you don't expect how well he can play that, and like it was just so fun seeing him have the more authority in the sketch and like completely just destroying this child's hopes and dreams of just like the pizza, just everything just felt like, and just being like you could tell like his character was like so committing to like being a host for this show, like it like didn't like let it fall off the rails, like he was still committed to looking at the TV show and like still presenting it like there's an audience and like it will air later. Like I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And Brian was the perfect foil for it all.
Yeah, that dark turn really turned as only Will Forte could do, probably.
Yeah, I agree. And like you haven't replaced the cream in this. Like it's just like it just kept getting worse and worse. It was so fun.
Steve, do you agree with Ryan?
I do agree. I just think they really went all in on setting this up. And before it takes the inevitable dark turn, they really made a kids' game show set, like with all the bells and whistles. Literally, perhaps. There was so much to look at. There probably were. And, Ryan and I, we grew up with what was that one that came on YTV with Wink Yahoo?
Oh, that's what I. That's uh-oh. It looked just like
yes,
uh-oh.
it looked just like uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
In Canada, that was like a huge game show for kids on YTV. On like you watch it at 4:30 p.m. after school, and it was just like a game show. And the host was Wink Yahoo, and he was like he always had big slick hair. And there was this guy called the Punisher who would like punish the kids with slime and goo, and it was like it's so bizarre to watch now because you're like but that was the exact tone, like getting in the goo and the family. Like Steve, I thought the exact same thing. I was like, this looks like
Yes.
Well, in the
like
US, it's exactly like all the Nickelodeon game
it's
shows
supposed to
they
be
did
Double
for
Dare, I
kids.
think.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Which one?
Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be
Double
on
Dare.
Guts.
Oh,
I was a Guts
loved
fan.
Guts.
Yeah, I thought I could kick ass in that. Probably couldn't have.
I sent in a submission to be on the new Legends of the Hidden Temple, and they did not select me.
Wow, rude.
It's still pending, I bet, Catherine.
Pending.
I'm sure they're coming. They're
Certainly
coming.
pending.
But so now that we've dived into the lore of kids' game shows from the 90s, that it just helps solidify my point that they really accurately captured that atmosphere and then spun it around. And that's why the dark turn turns so darkly and effectively. Because you have the family dressed in the silly costumes. You have all of the different obstacles that don't even get used because she doesn't even get past the first one. Like it's all there set up, and then the least thing you expect is for it to go this way, and it's all the more creamier and frothier for it.
Yeah. Charlotte, you got anything to add?
No, just loved the premise. I just felt like the one thing I'll say is that it felt like this was like a parent like pitched this was like, this is what I wish for all of these kids game shows that I watched growing up. It's like, like I just wanted the kid to learn a lesson. And I want my kids to learn a lesson if they go on there. So I just kind of loved that the host encapsulated like that idea. So I thought it was hilarious. Yeah. And I loved the shrimp and the adopted line at the end. I mean, what a great end. It's so hard to end sketches. I find I struggle with this all the time. So when there's a good ending, I know, Ryan, you thought it was like a little overplayed. I thought it was a funny end. It was just like one more sort of burn for the kids.
Right.
So.
The family taking the side of the host, I think,
was great.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. Because like you don't
kiss.
Yeah, you think that she might have like some kind of solace in her own family being there, and even they like turn their back on her.
Like,
this woman is truly alone, and it shows.
Y'all pretty much said it. That dark turn was great. Her family turning on her is great. The main thing I want to comment on is just that incredible set design.
Oh my god!
It just gave me instant visceral nostalgia because I loved Double Dare as a kid. So they hit it all, like these crazy obstacles. You have to find the flag. It's a terrible prize that you win. Like the consolation prize on that show, like I kid you not, was sometimes like a year supply of Nesquik. Like or like a single pair of Skechers. So this is so funny. I talked this morning on Instagram to Charlotte Hayes Harrison, who is the scenic designer. And I asked her how many cans of shaving cream it took to fill it up. And she said that she walked away, so she didn't know the total. But at one point, there were just like 7 people standing around, like double fisting shaving cream into this big pool contraption that they built.
How fun. What a fun day on set.
That's
I mean,
a
not
job.
the cleanup part, but yeah.
Right. the commitment of just like buckets and buckets full of cans of shaving cream, just one by one, putting them in there. And it paid off tremendously. I thought it was very much worth it. My only complaint is I wished at some point 80 had been completely submerged. But that's probably a safety issue. So.
Safety plus like next sketch hair and makeup. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I get it, but I would have loved to see it. Big win on Kids Clash. Let's get into the next one. Cinema Classics gaslights us about the 1944 film Gaslight. Charlotte, were you excited to see Cinema Classics?
I was. I mean, they're kind of goofy and a little. They're never like my favorite, but there is, again, like this comfort. Like, all right, I kind of know what I'm going to get. Like, Keenan's going to be so weird and make these uncomfortable jokes about his married life or personal life. And then, like, the black and white thing's going to be, a little out there. And you know what? Kate McKinnon is so great in these. Will Forte went right into it. And I did love that they chose Gaslight. Gaslighting is, I feel like, just, I don't mean to be crass. I mean, it's an obvious like mental manipulation tactic, but it's so sort of trendy, at least on TikTok. It's like, I don't know, everyone's like talking about gaslighting.
People love to call everything gaslighting.
Yeah, exactly. Like even I will do it as a joke. Like if someone's like, no, they said this, and I'm like, you're gaslighting me. And like, obviously they're not gaslighting me. They're not manipulating me. Okay. Total tangent. But I thought it was
Charlotte, I don't think you know what gaslighting is, okay? I know what you think, but that's not what it is.
No, it's just when you turn the gas lights down a little bit every day.
Yes.
It only applies to that specific scenario.
Yeah, so it's just like this premise was so kind of like goofy but worked. And yeah, I mean, this was a win for me. It was a win.
Ryan, are you a fan of Cinema Classics?
I think it was really fun because Will commits so much to just being that asshole husband who is gaslighting everything, and I thought like the heightening was really, really good. I think that's one of Will's strengths is guy who does not, because like the idea of gaslighting is like even he himself believes what he's saying to be true, and it's like, and like that's kind of like that's kind of the character he also plays like a MacGruber and everything, is these idiots that think they're right in all the time. So like I thought that was a very like more mature version of something he's done before, and like like. And just having like obviously all the other players be women who like they're doing the joke, but they also know this world so much because they unfortunately like we live in a world where a lot of men gaslight women. So to have like especially like oh my god, I blank on people's names all the time.
Kate,
and I watch the show all
Chloe.
the Kate
Chloe.
And
Chloe
Chloe, yeah, it's just like, and the way they would like kind of look at the camera when like during the beats, like because they just know what this is like. And I thought it was just very fun. And like, as soon as like, and again, like, it's like Charlotte said, like I knew what we were getting into as soon as like the poster came up, like the 1934 Gaslight. And I'm like, okay, I know what this sketch is. Let's see how they do with it. But like, just seeing like Kate's just, I think Kate was the hero in this one, just being so exasperated of just her bullshit husband, just fucking making shit up. Like, she's like, I know that's not what that is. That's not a kiss. She's like, okay. Like,
I know it does. What's great about
just
these is
like
it
really-
does sort of give the women that they wouldn't the voice or like the space to roll their eyes that in the original classic they would not have been able to do. So it's like clearly what these women were thinking during these movies,
Yeah. Steve, any parting thoughts?
I'll tell you, Kate is the real star here. And this is me saying this as a undying Reese DeWatt fan. Every time
And the Reese DeWatt, the intro this week was especially good.
It was a great one. And
The what?
it was a great delivery. And I'm always looking forward to learning, how he is not good at guessing this week because it's always great. And I say that Kate was the real winner here because she did such a good job pivoting between, playing it straight, just as Ingrid Bergman would, getting that acting style down, and then going straight to just like millennial casual, questioning it. Okay, that's a pineapple. I just know that's a pineapple, and going back and forth between those personas like almost seamlessly. That was the real talent that was shining through here. Charlotte, you were right. I was getting the same impression that they were making fun of the way women were portrayed back then. Like they were kind of so helpless and stupid compared to how, how we're used to be seeing women. Like a more respectable version of a woman is usually seen on screen these days. So just the humor in that, like, yeah, no one's buying this. It's like no woman is this helpless and gullible that this is like this plot just falls apart if you look at this woman and try to portray her as an actual real woman.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, like
I
it's
thought
not
that
even
was
like
pretty astute.
good gaslighting. Like it's no, but I thought this was a really good addition because like sometimes with cinema classics, it's just like, what if this moment in the movie were sillier? And this time it was the plot of this movie is ridiculous. Obviously like gaslighting is a real thing, but like, you're turning down the gas lamps. It seems like a very easy problem to solve. And also, like Reese DeWatt said, like, why is that how you're choosing? Like, it's not even helpful to you. So like I love that they were just really poking in on that.
So funny.
and tearing that down. And Kate was on her A game here. So it was a win for me. Win for y'all, a win all around. Let's continue on. All this woman wants for her birthday is an adventure with experienced third Geddon. Steve, what'd you think of this one?
Oh my. Geddon, what a character. And it's a collaborative effort. That's my main takeaway here. Every department of SNL came together to make the most repulsive douchebag known to man, from hairstyle to costume to just general sensibilities as a human being. This is just a beautiful walking train wreck of a man. And yeah, if you were to make this agreement with your significant other, this is the last person you would want to show up,
Right.
and Will sells this so well. He's a performer that's willing to commit and milk a moment. That bed was probably 2 shakes away from falling apart because he just reveled in that bed testing moment. And this is exactly where I like to see Mikey. This is the kind of torture that I enjoy seeing Mikey put through. He's done it as Matt Shet and a countless myriad of other characters. This is everybody's on their A game here.
Similar thought I had was like the biggest thing of note in this was that it's what makes Will Forte great is, he shoved that bed around just a little bit longer than most people would have, and it made it that much funnier. He's not afraid to milk that moment. That's exactly like why Will Forte was the perfect host for this sketch. Ryan, was it a win for you?
It was a win. I don't think it was the strongest sketch of the night. I found it had more peaks and valleys. Like it felt like some of the jokes were just a little like, because it's kind of the same beat over and over again. Like we get that this guy's gross, so it's hard to heighten something like that when just right off the like it starts so strong with the bed. Like the bed thing was the first beat. I thought that was one of the funniest beats of the whole thing because like everyone's saying it just lasted so long, and so like, and I think I disagree with Steve a little bit. I feel like the ending just kind of just was a little bit flat for me because you can tell this is one of those sketches where the writers were just writing out all these jokes and we didn't really have an ending. It just kind of ends, which is one of my biggest issues with not Saturday Night, but just sketch comedy in general. When a sketch just kind of ends and it doesn't have like the big pop at the end that brings it all together. But it was still really strong as another showcaseable for it. Mikey Day is the unsung hero in these sketches. I find he's like so good at playing exasperated, flustered straight man. Just like, wow, okay, so this is great. He's just the perfect foil right here. Like him and Amy did great tonight. Like being against Will, like being with Will and having to play against the characters that he's playing. And Heidi was fantastic. She's so good at those, like just like when she does the her character on the desk, the girl who's like, oh my god, like do you like me?
Bailey goes
like she's just so good at playing these like naive, just like it's like she just thinks it's gonna be okay that they're gonna have this threesome with this guy and it's what she wants, and like she's like kind of just making everyone think it's gonna be good. when Mikey puts the mask on, when he's taking the pillow and hits him with the pillow, like Mikey's just so good at being like, this is
You're gonna hit me with my own life.
Yeah, that was a great line. Like, great, perfect delivery of just so matter of fact. Like I want to see Mikey Day in more movies where he's playing like, like the dickheaded boyfriend or something that's just so mad at everything that's going on. Like, I wish Mikey Day had more of like a film career in that, because I just think he'd be so good. Like, think about like the timing's bad, but it's like, imagine like Mikey Day's character having to deal with like Will Ferrell characters being so obnoxious and like, you know what I mean? Like in Talladega Nights or something. Like, I just think Mikey Day's so funny when he plays that straight guy, just like, what the hell like is going on? So like, that was the perfect character to be paired up with him. And yeah, Will Forte is great. Just not the strongest one for me, because I just felt like it was a similar beat over and over again. Like, it's hard to heighten something that's so crazy off the top. So it just kind of feels like we're just here the whole time, which is a good place to be. It's fun, but like, at least with the MacGruber ones, it just kept getting bigger and bigger, right? And even like the sketch with the kids show, like, it just kept getting meaner and meaner. This was just flat out, this guy's gross for 3 minutes, which is fun, but it just didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, it's really hard when your crazy character of the sketch is so immediately identifiable. Like, he walks in wearing that. It's hard to progress from there. Like, I think that's something that like my sketch 201 teacher went on about for a long time one day randomly. Like, you can't always have them immediately walk in and be like, oh, that's the character of the sketch. Like, if you can reveal it in some way, that can be a little more fun and give you more room to go. It's like if he had a coat on and then, at some point took it off and then he was wearing that stupid shirt,
Yeah. Or I even think the bed beat with hitting the bed could have been the last beat to me, like, because it was just so strong. Like, the drinks were good, the Cialis was good, but like, I feel like, it's just an ordering issue. But like, and again, what am I saying? I don't even work for SNL. Everything's great. But it's just like, it was just not the strongest one for me, and a great night for.
Yeah, I always say we have a very privileged position of like critiquing a finished product. But I do think.
Oh, none of us should be critiquing any of this. None of us have.
Okay, see you guys.
We should not be doing this, but it's so fun.
I do think while you're right, like, it didn't necessarily like keep progressing in like intensity. I do think they found like really good details to put in with like, we had everything you asked with the 32 Powerades, So I liked the details they
the
found.
Tarp was fun.
Yeah, mop off my back. And,
I have that tarp.
Yeah. Don't even look at me and gives them the mask is really fun.
Charlotte, do you agree with the boys?
Yeah, I don't have anything new to add. We definitely covered everything. I thought this was really funny. I would agree maybe the ordering, but I don't know. I still really did love it. And I did want to give a shout out to costume and makeup, because as soon as he walked in, I was dying laughing. And I felt like every detail of that costume, like how far unbuttoned it was, like the choice in shirt, it almost felt like they sort of broadened him out a little, like there were shoulder pads. I mean, it was just hilarious. And I loved the premise of it. So
I didn't
really
even notice the
sketch.
necklace until the second time I watched it. Yeah. Like a butcher knife.
Yeah, the butcher knife.
I didn't even see the butcher knife. Oh my god.
Oh, that was amazing.
Oh, just everything. Like,
Awesome. So things to like here, maybe not the strongest, but a good time nonetheless. Let's keep going to our musical performances, where Måneskin performed Beggin' and I Wanna Be Your Slave. These guys won the Eurovision Song Contest this year.
oh, wow.
And as a fun little piece of SNL lore, just up top, was it in 2020 or 2021? I don't even know. I think 2020, the Will Ferrell, Rachel McAdams Eurovision movie came out. And they were Fire Saga in this movie, and they were trying to, their dream was to win the Eurovision Song Contest. And it's a good movie. It's not like
it's a great
funniest movie, but it's really so enjoyable.
Good. I agree. It's very good.
Yeah,
I like that movie.
Even if you don't like Will Ferrell, you might like this.
Yeah, all of the music is so funny and so great. But there's this rumor, and I don't know if it's true, but I suspect it is because that's what I want to believe, that before COVID shut everything down, Fire Saga was going to be a musical guest on SNL to promote the movie. And I would have loved to have, if we were going to have a Eurovision musical guest, I would have loved for that.
That would have been so fun. Holy crap.
But if we can't have Fire Saga, I think Måneskin was a fabulous musical guest. I hadn't listened to them yet, so this was my first exposure to them, and I really, really was into it. Really catchy tunes with like a nice pop rock edge to it. I loved it. Ryan, were you into it?
I could hear the sounds of thousands of millennials hearing that song going, TikTok. I hear that song on TikTok. The TikTok song.
Oh, the song from TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing is like, I've only heard that one song from them. I thought they did great. They performed it great. They looked great. It just like, it was just a standard musical performance. Like, it's so hard with like, sometimes with the musical performances on SNL to like really stand out unless you do something really crazy with the stage or really go for it. Like, so it just felt like, they did a good job. I also, pop culture for me, like movies, TV shows, comedy, comedians, stand-up, like I know those worlds really well. Music, I am so bad at. Like people are like, have you heard this song? And I'm like, no. Like that's I don't know any band's name. I have the same playlist from 2008 when I go to the gym and everyone's like, what are you listening to? And I'm like, have you heard of Avril Lavigne? Like I do not know anything. And it's so when they came up, I was like, yes, I've heard this on TikTok. I know things. Like
I just want to say these guys were really fun, and I've heard that Beggin' cover on the radio and stuff, so I've been aware of them. But here's all I really want to say is how impressed I am with that singer. I don't know how you can have a vocal style like that and keep your voice. This guy goes on tour and sings night after night with this really, like, I could feel the sandpaper, like the bloody throat getting raw and dry.
Did you know I've seen like clips of this woman in New York who trains like people to do screamo and growling and stuff like that, but to do it in a way that conserves their vocal cords and how to do it like properly. So you're not just screaming. And it's so wild to watch. It's like this 55-year-old woman that's like, okay, John, so what I want you to need to do now is and like, it's like, and
it's usually
so,
a
like,
lot deeper.
It's wild.
I believe it's
to
like
watch,
you just have to go deeper in, so you're not up here. Yeah,
yeah, it's like not even here. It's more like in here.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Say it with your chest.
Yeah, his voice is great.
It seems painful.
Yeah, say it with your chest.
Yeah, so that's I got what I was going to say out.
Charlotte, how'd you feel about Måneskin?
Yeah, I loved them. I mean, I thought their on-stage chemistry was really cool to watch. I mean, you could just tell that they were like really close friends in addition to performers and collaborators. I mean, that was just really cool to see.
He went up to the guitarist and did this underneath his chin during the song. Like, it wasn't like a caressive. It wasn't like a, ooh, like, I'm begging. He was like, I'm begging.
And I wasn't like, oh.
And he was like,
none of it even felt like weird, too. I was just like, oh, this is just like in the moment and they all feel it. Like, they all are so comfortable and trust each other. Like, that's just what I felt from them. And they all just looked like they were having such a great time. Like, the guitarist, she was so rad. And like the bass and like the singer, I mean, they just were so cool and just, you could just feel their joy through the screen. So I can't even imagine how amazing the energy must have been live. And yeah, his voice, and I loved them. I really did. I want to go see them in concert. I mean, I really loved watching this. And like I said, I had heard the cover and I had heard the other song before too. And I just didn't really know the group. And I'm just so happy I saw this because I just want to listen to more of their music. So,
I mean, after it ended, I added both songs to my Apple Music library, which I think is the most that any SNL musical guest can hope for. Not me specifically.
I hope I make it on Catherine's playlist.
The goal is
Coleman.
People hear the song and they're like, oh, I want to hear it again. Because there's plenty of musical guests where I'm like, yeah, that was good, but like I don't ever seek it out, but this I was immediately like, I need to hear these songs again. All right, so everyone loved the musical guest. Huge win. Let's talk about Weekend Update, where Jost and Shay discuss Biden's 2-hour press conference and Kirsten Cinema. Now, Ryan, as our stand-up, I'm going to let you go first. This is the most stand-up-y section of the show. So did you think this was a strong outing?
Yeah, I always love Weekend Update. And again, I think as a stand-up, it's my favorite to watch because it's just jokes. Like, and I appreciate and love that. It's funny. I just watched the episode again like 2 hours before this, and like it's like when you do watch stand up, they'll be like, yeah, he was so funny. Like, what was your favorite joke? Like, I don't even remember
Right.
because I just laughed a bunch. But like they're always like, I think it's just like I think they work best when Che and Michael or Colin, sorry, when Che and Colin just like play off each other, and like I love when one makes a joke and you see those reactions from one or the other, of like how dark the joke was or how bad it was or the pun was so brutal that Joe's just like, dear God. Like it's like that's the kind of thing you watch now for them. I thought the jokes, yeah, it was good. The stuff about Biden was great. Some strong stuff. I thought I know we're gonna get to it, but oh my God, the Sarah Sherman doing the stuff about like queer baiting and like wealth hoarding and making fun of Jost, like that was such a strong like clip for her. Like that was such a strong presence for her on the night, and I loved every minute of that. And I think like she has such a fun energy just going for Jost's jugular, which was so fun, and like he was playing it. And Bought a Boat guy was what a perfect time, because I was just reading about how Pete and Jost bought the Staten Island ferry and to turn it into a floating comedy club. Like I was just reading about that 2 days ago. So when Boat Guy came out, I was like, oh, perfect.
Yeah, like we'll definitely get into all those features in more detail, but they were all phenomenal. I think that's why we got 3 of them tonight. Charlotte, where did you land on our desk jokes on update?
Desk jokes were great tonight. Not my favorite, not the strongest, but I do think they left room for these great features that we'll talk about. So yeah. I have not much to say on the desk.
Fair enough. Steve, anything to add?
Just want to say this was a whole lot of just what we love from Jost and Che, respectively. We got a lot of great jokes where Colin is getting laughs with just the setup before he even gets to the punchline. And of course, we have Che taking the low blows at others and himself. And it made me realize, when he was telling the infertility joke and kind of letting on that the whole reason he took the vaccine was to maybe use it as a birth control method. It made me realize that, all of the crapping on Jost they do, part of its brilliance is how they portrayed Che as, slightly problematic. So like if any of them deserves to like, take some flack, it's Che, but it's never Che who does, isn't it? It's Jost. And I think that's part of the brilliance of Jost constantly getting thrown under the bus when Che is clearly like kind of an arsehole, it just works on so many levels.
Yeah, I think this was a decent outing, but we've touched on it enough. Let's get into these features. Up first, Chin Biao's here to discuss the boycott of the Beijing Olympics. And Steve, I know you love Chin Biao, so were you happy to see him again?
Of course. I love Chen Biao. Every time there's like something going on in China, I'm like, yay, Chen Biao's getting a new job. Hooray. Yeah, this guy's got job security because, he's basically our Chinese correspondent. And he's just dangerously likable and fun. It's one of those worrisome moments where you're like, are we doing are we doing ourselves a favor by like making this cruel government more likable? Yeah, it's kind of like how Will Ferrell made George Bush someone you wanted to have a beer with. Now
right.
The authorities of China are just taking a lot of ketamine and making pretty rave bears. As funny as it is, it's I guess it's the spoonful of medicine that we take to get our medicine down. And oh, whatever. I guess I'm overthinking it. I think we all.
Because I don't get the impression that Chen Biao is particularly high ranking enough to really make any sympathizers with the government. He's just sort of there doing his own thing,
Right. Yeah, sure.
Charlotte, was this feature a win?
Yeah, this was a win. It's like, I don't know. It's funny. I like the concept, I guess, of sort of taking this millennial, almost Gen Z take and kind of flamboyant take on this, you know, government official or whatever his position is. And it's fun. It's fun to make these references that are popular on TikTok or popular culture right now, like that reference to the club, another club, like viral clip of Lady Gaga, and then doing that about like going to get a test, another
Mhm.
quarantine.
Oh, I didn't realize
These
that was based on something.
Yeah, that's based on something. So there are these lot of little moments that are really clever and funny and a call out to popular culture. I just find it a little tired. I don't know. I just feel like we see this a lot from him, and I kind of want something new or like a new take on it or something from Bowen, and because Bowen's so funny, and I guess this isn't totally fleshed out, I guess, as an opinion. I feel like it's funny and I appreciate that they're calling out popular culture and I appreciate this take, but it feels like he does it a lot. And so I just sort of, I don't know, maybe want something different to go in to spice it up a little because he's so funny.
I think this is maybe the fourth outing of Chin Biao.
But I feel like he does a little bit of this take with other characters too.
Gotcha.
Like this feels almost similar to the iceberg in a way, like this calling out popular culture. You know what I'm saying?
I can see what you
don't
mean,
know.
yeah.
And others, so I want a little bit something different.
He does it so well, though. I always
Yeah.
find
I know. Yeah,
fun.
it's funny. It's funny. Yeah.
When he announced he was going to be performing, I was like, "Oh, this is really becoming very icebergian."
I would love to see a sketch that is Chin Biao performing at the opening ceremony.
Let's composite that in.
Yeah. Ryan, how'd you feel about this feature?
Well, unlike Charlotte, I don't hate Bowen Yang. So
Oh my God, that is not the case at all.
Hot take.
That's it.
I personally love his work. No, I thought it was I thought it was great. I really I agree. Like I think that's like with all SNL cast members though, like it's like, Mikey Dye really is good at playing the straight man, Heidi's really good at those like, those like more like girls that are just like, like everyone has their kind of style and tone. But I think where I take it with Charlotte, what you're trying to say is that like, you do love them and they're so good at it that we all want to see just a little bit more variety. Cause like, especially with people who watch a lot of comedy like us, it's like we kind of see the beats happen so often that it's like, and especially where it's weekly, it's like, if we watch, like, it's nice seeing MacGruber back, but if they did a MacGruber sketch, if he played a character that was under pressure and making mistakes every week, it's, we want to see a different variety of that. But like, it's like, but like what Catherine said, like he's so good at it when he does do it. It's just so strong. And yeah, so I thought it was great. Really good stuff. Not my favorite part of the weekend update, but I thought it was really, really strong.
Yeah. I thought this was a solid outing. You've all really said it. So I will just say that as a begrudging viewer of And Just Like That, the Sex and the City reboot, the Che Diaz joke was fantastic. For anyone who
somebody got it.
For anyone who didn't get it, there is there's a character in this new Sex and the City show, which is like so bad but so addictive. And this character's name is Che Diaz, and they are a stand-up comedian allegedly on the show, though they've never said anything that was even like an attempt at a joke that I can tell.
They also call them stand-up concerts, which is so perverted in every way.
It's weird, but it's that part was really funny to me because when someone was telling me about the show, they were like, it was actually my friend Erica. She was in like a scene. She was an extra. She was like, yeah, I was filming this part. It was right after they went to Che's comedy show. And I went, Michael Che is in Sex and the City? She's like, no, there's a character named Che. And I was like, okay, I feel much better about that.
No, it's Che. He does concerts.
But that said, I've been waiting for this joke ever since that moment, like 2 months ago that I heard that. So Chin Biao is a win. let's move on. Let's talk about Sarah Sherman sharing some disturbing news about queer baiting, wealth hoarding, woman shaming bastard Colin Jost.
Sarah Sherman, okay, I thought this bit was great. I was happy to see a repeat of the last time she did this. So when she came on, I was so excited. Again, like I said, I think I was a guest the last time and we reviewed her monologue. And so I was just so excited to see her back. She has such great energy. She has such great chemistry with the audience. And then what's great is like you could hear the audience just so excited that she was coming back on. And I think she really heightened this in the way that we all kind of wanted her to go. She found fresh takes and, I think the queer baiting and the blow up doll and just went even more extreme and involved Che. And I'm just excited for this to be a regular piece, for her. So this was a win for me.
Yeah. Steve, were you ready to see this gag again?
Sure, why not? It went so well the first time.
Sure.
And it dawned on me just the New York balls on Sarah for coming in on her first year, being like, "Hey, I'm the brand new girl." Because think about it, Colin Jost is a head writer. He's kind of like one of her bosses. So she's going in being like, "I would also like to join in on the constant dumping on Mr. Jost, my boss." Like,
that's a really good
great.
point.
Yeah.
And it's props to Jost too for, just being so game with that and gung ho.
Yeah.
And
I think the writers of this are even like the Please Don't Destroy guys and Celeste Yim, who is in their like second year.
Yeah.
Or third maybe. So it's like all pretty new people.
Yeah.
Cool.
All these new
but
people
I just
shaking
love
the
that.
boat.
Isn't that cool? That's so great.
Yeah.
It's a safe space for them to, make. I just think that's great. I don't know. I
It is
love
great.
that.
Yeah. No, it says
When you
a lot
go
about
home
like
to
Colin.
Scarlett Johansson, you
Yeah.
can take a lot of abuse.
Yeah. Ryan, what'd you think?
Well, unlike Steve, who hates Sarah Sherman, I
Clearly hate her.
I friggin' love her, man. I think Sarah Sherman's a champion, man. She's so funny and like she's got that kind of like bigger energy that I feel like is kind of missing from the show right now. Like it's just fresh and it's like there's like chaos in it that I really enjoy and love and it just like throws things in a different direction that I don't see a lot of in SNL. And I think like Colin's just not ready for it sometimes, and it's really fun to watch. And I think the writing's sharp, and she's just got the type of energy I'm just very drawn to, and I just really enjoy watching. It was really fun.
Yeah, I think Sarah's great. It's really nice to see her have this moment. She tweeted somewhat early on in her run, I think like after her first big moment, where she said like, just a reminder that in like 2017, the SNL producers specifically asked for me to not be included in like the Groundling showcase or like whatever showcase she was normally in. They're like, we've seen enough of her. Like they didn't want to see her again. And then she got the job a few years later. So it's great to see her now out there just tearing down the head writer left and right.
That's awesome.
I don't know. I'm a little torn because I love this and I think this is just as strong as the first outing. I just like it always makes me nervous when they do them this close together because I want it to last forever. Like I want her to be able to keep doing these for years. And if you do them too close together, then it can get to be too much too soon, But that said, that's just me kind of overthinking the long-term plans of this character, which I have no business doing. Because it's all great stuff. Like it was all really strong. So I really liked this. I just I would like it if they paced themselves a little more, maybe, so we can keep enjoying this for a long time. But yeah, so that's our take on Sarah Sherman. Let's get into our last update feature, where the guy who just bought a boat has a blipper from another skipper, and he meets the guy who just bought a ferry. Charlotte, I think it was the last time you were on, maybe a couple times ago, where the guy who just bought a boat got cut, and you were devastated we didn't get to talk about it. So now is your chance. What did you think of this outing?
Wow. Oh, yes. Another classic. Honestly, I love that they brought him back out. I thought the writing was even stronger than usual with his puns and everything. And they took it to a new place. It wasn't tired. They brought in Pete Davidson, who was so funny. They included Jost, and it just felt like this big party, and the writing was better than ever. The deliveries were better than ever. I freaking loved it. Like, how much did you want to just like get up on stage with them and hang out? Like, it was so funny. It was the best way. Ryan, you mentioned this earlier, like the best way to bring up what I had just read also, that they had bought this Staten Island ferry that's retired. And it was the funniest way to address it, because what they could have done is just brought out Pete Davidson to do like an individual bit and include Jost with it, which I sort of expected they would do. But the fact that they brought out Guy with the Boat obviously warmed my heart and just made it hilarious. And yeah, I mean, it was a huge win for me. Huge win.
Yeah. Ryan, were you a fan?
I huge fan. And here's the thing is like, yeah, I mentioned a bit earlier in I was reading about the boat news, and so I was like, this is perfect pairing, right? Like, you got to bring out Guy who bought a boat. You literally have a character about Guy who's a douchebag for buying a boat, two characters. And like Pete Davidson's so hot right now with like all of his like all of his dating life, and he's been really in the zeitgeist the past 2 years as like, you know, bigger presence in social media and in pop culture, that like him coming on could have like taken away and made him the draw of the sketch of like about him, you know, having the beer and like and Joseph. But like I thought Alex Moffat really friggin' brought it. Like he's like the character's always been really great, and like it's always been fun to watch. And again, it's kind of like the same joke over and over, but that's what the fun beat of it is. But he didn't let those two overshadow his character. Like he was making them both crack up, which I think is so fun to watch. And like and he just like brought in, the lines were sharp as ever, and like and it just added a whole new layer to them also being like, welcome to the team. Like it was like it just was something. And I think Alex Moffat has the strongest desk characters. Like when he plays Eric Trump, I think it's the funniest thing that he just plays him as this big dum-dum that just repeats what his brother says like he's like a child. And I think like, and Alex Moffat's so bad. I feel like I don't really see him in as many sketches. I just see him as characters for the desk bits. And I just wish Moffat was in more stuff. Like I think Moffat's so funny. I think he's so funny when he plays those big, dumb, brash characters and like commits to it. And it's just, it was perfect sketch for that character.
Yeah, Alex Moffat is amazing, and I do feel like he is truly underutilized.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
agree.
Steve, would you like to buy a ferry with me?
I will.
Did you like the update feature?
I did. It was interesting, and I feel stupid because I just never made the connection. Like I knew the news about the ferry. The guy who just bought a boat comes on, and I'm like, oh, cool. They just had him on. They were inspired for some reason. And then he mentions it. I'm like, oh, the connection. I get it now. So that was really brilliant. And I got to give him props for doing something challenging, because you're taking Pete and Colin, who already have a rapport on this very segment, on this very show, and you're going to just plop a pre-established character in the middle of it and try to make it work without making it confusing or weird. And I think it did work. Maybe we can thank Pete's immature sense of humor for laughing at all the penis and vagina jokes. But
we all are. Let's be real.
We are all laughing at these jokes.
I think mine is like a tuna can might be my favorite all-time guy who just bought a boat penis reference.
Or Pete's reaction to it. You know,
the tuna can thing was super funny. That was super
my God, I was dying.
Yeah, I feel like Pete's laughter made me reconsider the joke and actually visualize like the hockey puck dimensions of it. And yeah,
I was really glad that they saw this. Obviously, I saw the news. It seemed like a very logical choice. I saw like a few people already talking about it on like Twitter and Reddit that they needed to do this. So I was glad to see it. The first time I watched it, I felt annoyed about Pete breaking the whole time. The second time I watched it, I was like, okay, no, you're right. That added to it. It made it so much more fun for Alex to try to continue to get those laughs from them, and it allowed him to just like really like own and like just go even deeper into character in a way that like we haven't gotten to see with him before. So I think ultimately it did enhance the piece. Even though I didn't like it the first time. Just I was feeling grumpy, I guess.
But at the end of
That's
the
fair.
day,
But at the
It
end
was
of
a
the
day.
day, it was a win. So, update pretty strong. We had 3 features. It was a really long update. So long, in fact, that the back half of the show is only one sketch, really. And that sketch is Clancy T. Baccalaureate and Jackie Snad back with songs about spaceships, toddlers, Model T cars, and jars of beer. This felt like a more obscure choice for a recurring sketch to bring back. It's not my favorite. It is so funny in theory, and like it got laughs, and it was really interesting to see how they were going to manage to fit all those things into each song. Um,
Can you give us some background? I don't remember this. I could tell it was something that had happened before, but
mhm.
I don't remember this from the past.
I don't have a lot of memories of it. I just know that it is recurring. Steve, I'm sure you're gonna probably be
Steve?
our historian here, because I have a
No, I'm
bad
not.
memory.
No, I don't remember much at all. This was clear. This was just my favorite sketch of the night. And it was a gift that kept on giving.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like it's a very obscure choice because like even we have like 4 pretty big SNL fans, and we're
Yeah.
like, yeah, like I vaguely recall them doing something like this.
I
but, like,
remember.
I don't know.
I remember these. I remember these characters.
Okay.
I remember these characters, and because it was like, yeah, they did it a few times, especially in like the late 2000s, 2008,
Mhm.
2009 era, and it was a joy to watch. I'm unlike Catherine. I don't hate Will Forte, so I quite enjoyed the sketch. It was so fun to watch, and and my fiance and I were watching it, and when like they show the picture of the album and just the photo they took of them staring at the camera, like the more you looked at it, the friggin' funnier it got because they just and it's so fun seeing too because Kristen and Will have such good chemistry and they're clearly friends. Like even if you saw like I always watch these little bits in between, like the monologue was over, so the camera starts panning back and you see Will turn around and just give like he
Mhm.
just gives them this hug that like they're so happy to be in the same room together, even though the joke about Kristen overshadowing, like he could give a shit. He's just so excited
Right,
to have her
yeah.
there because they're friends. So like to have them and the best sketch to me is always the 1/4 to 1 sketch because it's when it's the weirdest one at the end of the night. It
Mhm.
always is a tradition of just going for broke and
Mhm.
like I love the 1/4. I stay up for the 1/4 to 1 sketch. I'm like, what's gonna happen this time? And it was the perfect one because it was just so weird. The song, the way the song, and even they heighten. It's again, that's one of those bits where like it could just stay here the whole time, but the heightening with the kids going to hell at the end and like it's just such a perfect and they and Kristen and Will have such weird energy that like they when they commit to these weird characters and like and channel whatever the hell they are, it's just so fun to watch. And to me, I'm with Steve that it was my favorite sketch of the night. Like I thought it was just so fun.
Yeah. Steve, what was it specifically that you loved about it so much?
Just how it came through on its promise to include all these elements that they list off in each song. And there was something so incredibly satisfying about having them all ticked off one by one as you listen to each song. And it would put me in hysterics every time. Uh, just the sheer randomness. Uh, you would think that as a comedy writer sitting down writing this sketch, you probably have thoughts like this is my job. I'm getting paid to write this down on paper and have people act out later. It's insane because you just think about like the fever dream that this sketch is, and uh, just the randomness and the places it goes, and then all this money is put into all this money and talent is putting into realizing it. It's just one of those amazing phenomena of SNL. Uh, had me like just staring through piss holes of eyes, like just streaming tears. Uh, yeah, this moved me like no other sketch, and I had I had I had to recover. Yeah, it was tough. I miss like the good nights, the farewells. I was just a teary mess
Wow.
through it all.
I'm glad you loved it so much. Like I thought this was funny. Like I got some good laughs. but it was like nowhere near my favorite of the night. But,
Really?
but you know,
Come on.
I mean
It was
that's what's great because like there's something for everybody, right? It like this was I can't even pinpoint exactly what it was. Maybe I was just feeling grumpy at some point, but like it was funny and it's very quotable, but like it's not I'm not immediately, oh, everyone needs to see this. I gotta send it to all my friends. Like it's just not, I don't know, maybe it's just not fully like my sense of humor, you know? But that is the end of our rundown. Let's talk about these overall thoughts and ratings. Let's breeze through them real quick here. It's been a long episode. Let's talk up first, moment of the night. Ryan, what's your moment?
Ooh, it's up there. I would have to say we bought a boat guy with them and buying the boat. Like I thought Alex Moffat was just on point as that character. It's a tight tie with Sarah Sherman and roasting of Colin Jost. Those are neck and neck for me.
But okay, so if you had to pick like a specific moment, like one joke
Catherine, don't
in
do
the-
this to me, God.
You
That's
have
the
one
rules.
purpose on
That's
the
the
show,
rules of the
Ryan.
show.
Oh man, the moment for me was Alex Moffat just like owning that bit and like and not letting Colin and Pete take over because it was because of them owning the yeah. That's for me is my moment of the night for sure.
Fair enough. Charlotte, what's yours?
Similar. Hope it's okay. I was gonna say that exact moment where Pete broke during the guy that bought a boat because I did love just seeing him break down at how funny Alex Moffat was being and just this
100%, yeah.
all of that. Yeah.
Steve?
I think it's Kate's line. I've been reading rats all these years, or I've been reading a rat a week.
That's pretty good.
That's a good
call.
one.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, that was just the absurdity of being so gullible that you could still like somehow believe that lie that's so obviously in your face, not the truth. Yeah, just brilliant.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Willem Dafoe showing up in the monologue, like just that beat of the monologue where Lauren's like, "Sorry, there's been a mistake," and then Willem Dafoe was game to show up a week early to do the quick cameo. Like that, that was brilliant. I really
so
enjoyed that. Up next is best sketch. Ryan, what's your best sketch? I think I know what it's gonna be, but
Clancy T. But am I gonna say Bachelorette and Jackie Snad back together singing their song about spaceships, toddlers, Maltese cars, and jars of beer? Hell yeah! Best sketch of the night. Every other opinion's wrong. This was the best.
fair enough. Charlotte, what's yours?
I'm going MacGruber.
Wow!
Loved it.
After I just
Whoa.
said that I had the right opinion. Wow!
Wow, well, I don't hate Will Forte and the classic cinematic universe that is MacGruber. So obviously MacGruber. They took it to an unexpected place that ended up being perfect, and I still loved them. And I'm happy,
the
except for Ryan
paragraph
Phillippe.
text that I received from Charlotte earlier this week about her love for MacGruber really made it to where there was no question before this ever aired that her best sketch was going to be MacGruber.
And for that, we thank you.
Steve, what is your best sketch?
I'm doubling up with Ryan, Clancy T. Bachelorette, and Jackie Snad. Singing about tea cars and toddlers and jugs of beer.
Way to be on the right
merits-
side of history, Steve.
It merits a slow clap. I'm happy to cross the floor and enjoy the Ryan side.
Well, I'm going to double up with Charlotte and say MacGruber.
Whoa!
Wow.
What an upset.
Come on in.
Wow.
Water's fine.
I think they took a
Wow.
classic, they enhanced it, they heightened it beautifully. I think it was perfect.
So how do we unsubscribe to this podcast? Just out of curiosity.
I'm not telling you.
I'm
You're
not
Just
telling
add
you.
$10 to our Patreon.
It's
By
like an
paying
AT&T.
more money on Patreon, you actually get less content. Is how it works.
Yeah.
You have to pay
That's
to get rid
canon.
of us.
I'll look forward to my $100 a month.
I will. All right. Next category is MVP. Ryan, who's it going to?
MVP of the night. Damn. Oh man. Who did it, to me MVP? I don't pick the host. I wouldn't pick the host for the MVP because they're the host of the
can.
show. Because I can. Oh
Yeah, you
man,
can.
I think Will Forte is the MVP of the night. I know he's the host, but like I love that like he's back and he got to be a returning cast member doing his own thing and being able to just play in the sandbox that is SNL and that a world he knows the best. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely allowed to give it to the host. Charlotte, who are you going to give it
Will Forte.
to?
I love him. And he did everything great. And
Wow, Charlotte. Wow.
But you know why? Is because he went out there and he played such distinct characters. Like he
Mhm.
really let his character chops shine. I mean, each person he played was so distinct. And that's a testament to the writers too, and like everybody just taking risks. And I was just so impressed. And he just got right back in there, and his charisma and even his monologue. You know, I'm usually kind of critical of the monologues. I really loved him on the monologue, and
Mhm.
he was a true MVP.
Fair enough. Steve?
Yeah, you know it's going to be Will Forte. I mean, we don't shy away from handing MVP over to the host, especially when it is a seasoned cast member who's coming back to just do what got them hired to do that job for years. Uh, it's a more pure SNL when that happens. It's not like, hey, we gotta help promote the Kardashian brand by having Kim on and putting her in a funny wig. This is not trying to make somebody likable. This is not trying to do a PR move for anyone. It's just making a good SNL show. He made a good point. You know, we've been waiting a long time to see this happen. And Will Forte, of all the people he listed in his monologue, you know, he was the first of those people to leave the show. And anyone who's been a fan of him, you know, I was hoping Nebraska would be the movie to bring him there. You know, he's had a couple of big projects, and yep, I guess it just took MacGruber to bring him back, and I'm glad it did.
It took an NBC owned property to bring him back.
Yeah, how surprising, right?
No, I'm gonna make it unanimous. I'm gonna give it to Forte too. I think, you know, some hosts are more present
Forte.
than other hosts. So it's not always obvious to give it to the host. You know, Will Forte came and everything he did was things that only he could do or only he could do as well as he did, you know? Like like the threesome character is the great example. Like no one else could have played that like he did. Everyone else would have stopped shaking the bed 5 seconds sooner. And so he just really owned every single thing he was in, and he was the best part of everything he was in. So yeah, I think Will Forte is the clear MVP. Obviously, it's unanimous. So let's talk the big one on a scale of classic, great, decent, weak, or train wreck. Ryan, how would you rate this episode?
I think it was a pretty great episode. I think it was really, really great to have Will Forte back. I don't think it's necessarily a classic per se. Like, I don't think there's going to be enough for me to think about this episode 10 years from now, but it is always refreshing to see a cast member come back and be able to play in the sandbox and get to do whatever the hell they want and lean into their strengths. And I think Will's friggin' hilarious. And yeah, great episode. Really fun.
Fair enough. Charlotte?
Big
where are you landing?
controversial take from Ryan Dillon.
Ryan coming in hot. I mean this was as close to classic as ever though. I will say like this I don't know if I'm full classic, but I'm great, very close to I'm like great and a half. Like this was really good. I think because we saw the joy and brought back some classics. So it's nearly classic, but I don't know. There were some that just maybe it should be classic.
It's okay. If
I'm
you,
great
if
and a
you
half.
feel that in your heart of hearts,
I don't know. What do you think?
it doesn't matter what I think. It's about your opinion. We'll circle back to you. All right. I will allow you to mull it over for a moment. Steve, what are you going?
I'll give it a great. As much as I'd love to say classic, I don't know if this is really like a momentous occurrence. It's it's just eventually everyone's day to host SNL. They're one that deserves it.
Well, can't wait
Sometimes
for
it
my
takes
turn.
Yeah, sometimes it takes longer than it should. Sometimes it's, Betty White or Adam Sandler doing it later in their careers. Um, and yeah, sometimes it takes seeing a whole lot of your peers from your own era do it before you. And yeah, I just it didn't feel like anything other than just a good SNL outing. I don't feel like I was witnessing anything historical. Um, uh, it was certainly full of nostalgia and member berries and made me, think of some great moments from the history of the show. Uh, this will stand on its own as a, a great episode. And yeah, I just can't talk myself into giving it any higher.
I can see why there would be a feeling to go towards classic because there's a lot of the ingredients are here, right? Like, kind of underdog former cast member that's like beloved. Brought back some classic sketches, brought some cameos with him, like really good performances from our new team. But ultimately, I don't. In my opinion, it didn't get there. I think one reason why is there weren't that many sketches. Like I feel like, and I haven't actually done the math to say this is factual, but it did seem like there were like less sketches in this episode than there normally are. Perhaps because a few of these were longer. Weekend Update was really long. But like I think what everything we did get was good. There wasn't really anything that I hated. Weekend Update was strong. Like all three characters were great. The monologue was probably my favorite of the season. Um, so it was all good stuff. I'm gonna give it a great, but I don't think it quite got to classic for me. Charlotte, where are you gonna go?
All
now?
right. I think
Now that we've beaten you down.
No, but I do. I think you all raised really good points, and I think about like the rewatch factor, and I think about all of the factors that you both brought up, and I would agree. I think it's closer to great than classic.
Yeah,
and
we raised
perhaps
really good
some
points.
classic sketches, but not an overall classic episode.
Yeah. There we go. There we have it. Really great episode. Fabulous to see Will Forte back. Great to see MacGruber. Fun seeing Kristen. All good stuff. And great seeing you all. Thank you all for being here. Charlotte, I'm so glad you came because I haven't got to see you in a while. You're in Florida. Tell the people what you're doing in Florida.
Thanks, Catherine. I'm so happy to be here. I know I sort of elbowed my way in, and I was so happy to talk about Will Forte. And yes, I'm down in Florida. I'm directing God of Carnage, the play by Yasmina Reza, translated by Christopher Hampton. And if any of you listeners are down in South Florida and want to come check it out, we open February 4th through February 13th at Lake Worth Playhouse, which is sort of near Delray, Palm Beach, anywhere in sort of Palm Beach County, Broward County area. You're in driving distance, so would love to catch you there. You can visit lakeworthplayhouse.org to get tickets. Thank you.
Woo!
And also, woo! And Catherine
Very
will also
exciting.
mention our sketch show coming up.
Yeah, we got the sketch team I direct at the Laugh Index Theater, starring Charlotte as a writer and performer. We have a show on Wednesday at 8. You can catch it on the Laugh Index Theater YouTube page or head to litcomedy.com. It's gonna be a good one. I'm really, really excited about it. And Ryan, it was so lovely to meet you. It was so great to have you here. I think you had wonderful, great insights on things. I think you did a great job. You can come back anytime. And tell the people where to find
I'd
you.
love
What do you
to.
have going on?
First, I want to say thank you so much for having me. You guys are all wonderful, and this was super, super fun. I love SNL, and I'm a big comedy nerd, and I just love talking about comedy. So this is really great. You can follow me at Miley Cyrus. That's my handle, and you'll find all of my upcoming shows there. And
Big
I
arena
have a
tour
great
coming up.
DM me for a great peach cobbler recipe that I may offer you. At the Ryan Dillon and everything. If you Google Ryan Dillon comedy, you'll find stuff. But if you go to my Instagram, you'll see like I post like video. I'm gonna be posting a lot of stand-up clips from a tour I just did that I'm editing right now, and I'm working on another album. So Ryan Dillon comedian. Just if you want to follow me, you'll follow me on Twitter and you'll find it there. And or don't live your best life. Who gives? We're all gonna die in 100 years. Do whatever you want. Whatever.
Yeah.
Wow, what a great
Frigate.
plug. You can tell how Ryan feels about himself and takes it so seriously. All right, well, this was a fun one, but that is a wrap. Thanks to Ryan Dillon, Charlotte O'Trimba, and Steve Finn. And thanks as well to our most generous patrons, Sam Bowers, Neil Weinstein, Justin Gardner, Grace Kogan, and Brian Clark. If you're enjoying our show, please subscribe on YouTube or wherever better podcasts can be found. Your subscription helps us grow. Your support is greatly appreciated. We'll be back in 1 week when SNL returns with host Willem Dafoe and musical guest Katy Perry. But until then, this has been episode number 152 of the Saturday Night Live Afterparty podcast. I'm Catherine Coleman. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.